Hey, what's up, metal and heavy music fans? It's Flight of Icarus again with MetalTrenches.com, and today we're talking about Australian death metal band Depravity and their new album Grand Malevolence via Transcending Obscurity Records. And hey, if you like to be kept up to date with the best and brightest metal bands and albums from the underground and above, then stick with me by hitting that subscribe button down below. I got into this band with their previous effort, Evil Upheaval, which I called one of the grooviest, heaviest death metal records of the year and included on my favorites of 2018 list. Fast forward to 2020 and Depravity continue to level the opposition with equal parts speed and brutality that liken to the glory days of Morbid Angel. And while the album is generally a punishing affair that on the surface could come off as pure baseball bat to the skull, digging deeper you'll find some clever dynamics crafted into its runtime as well. Take for instance the slow, ominous build on Cantankerous Butcher. These moments of atmosphere really help to offer an important counterpoint that only further amplifies the death metal mayhem, and cap this one off with a killer solo as well. Epitome of Extinction is another great example, with its massive sounding intro creating a real sense of scope through its Sulphur Aeon blackened guitars and pounding drums. Speaking of which, the drumming on Grand Malevolence is really solid across the board, from these slower, methodical portions to the relentless double bass and blast beats. Castrate the Perpetrators takes a while to get going, but really steps it up in the second half with this cool Babylonian-sounding harmonized guitar part that builds into yet another ripping solo. These types of riffs pop up throughout the album and had me calling back to some of my favorite Behemoth records over the years. Closing track Ghosts in the Void is particularly packed with them to great effect. Turning to some critiques of the album, it's definitely a little inconsistent. None of the tracks are bad, but for every really great one, there's another more forgettable one that feels on the generic side. And while the deep, throaty death growls are sufficiently malevolent, they're also kind of one note. There are a few more blackened highs here and there, but overall the band could benefit from a little more diversity on this front. It also sometimes feels like they're cramming way too many words into each measure. That aside, Grand Malevolence is a solid death metal record that should make for an enjoyable listen, especially for those who are longtime fans of the likes of Suffocation, Immolation, and Nile. Even if you're not in love with this one, I still encourage you to get the previous album Evil Upheaval, as I'd rank that one just a little bit higher. I give Grand Malevolence an 8 for enjoyability. The high points are high, but again, there are other moments that felt a little bit more like filler. I give it a 9 for musicianship. The performances are consistently strong, from the guitars to the drums, with some technical vibes here and there as well. And I give it a 7 for innovation, just your typical slice of death metal that is more focused on dragging you through a hellscape than getting too artsy-fartsy. So an 8 overall and a B- for Depravity and Grand Malevolence. Get it once more via Transcending Obscurity Records. Y'all, thanks as always for watching, and of course, let me know down in the comments what you thought of this record and what is your favorite death metal album of 2020 so far. Also, stick around because there's plenty more videos coming right after this one. More album reviews, tier lists, interviews with the band on the podcast. You name it, we've got it, so plenty of reasons to stick around and subscribe if you have not already. Also in the description, you can find links to our social media, the email newsletter, and our Patreon and Subscribestar if you want to take that extra jump to becoming a full-on supporter. Even just $1 a month gets you access to early content and keeps this train rolling. But that'll do it for now. Flight of Icarus signing off. I will see you in the trenches.